Somebody pointing a gun to me, and they started firing. Welcome back, family. Back at it again. Today we'll talk about the sequence of events that took me from a normal person to the spiritual being that's in front of you now. We'll have to go back to my previous employment where I was a warehouse manager. I had an assistant manager and 2 supervisors and about 100 employees under us. I pretty much was raised to work hard. I watched my mom and my papa Mike every day, day in and day out. Hard work. My papa Mike's philosophy was pretty much you're on time when you're early. So I always make sure I'm early to be on time. Thank you, Papa Mike. I dedicated my whole life to each company I worked. Every company I've been employed with, I've been promoted the first year because I literally give them everything. I got into the habit of showing up to work early and leaving late. And a lot of the times I was not compensated for that, but it's just a philosophy that I felt was the right thing to do to excel in corporate America. I've missed my kids' birthday parties, I've missed graduations, I've missed recitals because I had to be to work. Had to be the first one there and the last one to leave. My last employment, I gave them so much. I used to show up on Sundays 2 hours early so that my supervisor staff came in with all the pre-paperwork completed so that it's just a smooth flow for the day. And one day I showed up and I opened the door and there was lights on in the warehouse, which is not normal because I'm the one that normally turn the lights on, but it was flashlights. And the flashlight hit me in my face, and out the corner of my eye, I seen somebody pointing a gun to me, and they started firing. I quickly ran out, closed the door behind me, and called the police. And that day, I think I realized that I'm not willing to give my life for somebody else's dream at this company, where I don't even know my family that well because I'm always here. And I think that was probably the catalyst that started the change, because no company is worth my life. So right after that, I guess the company realized that I was not feeling it, so they moved me from nights and put me to days, where it was smooth. I can't complain. It was much easier, less responsibilities. But at this point, I'm already seeing that this is still occupying all of my life, because I would go to dinner meetings and I would travel to different states, and I'm still not seeing my family despite I'm on a day shift now. But I had to let it roll. And one day I had a seizure. And this is how I know corporate America don't really care about you once your value is gone. Once the seizure occurred, went out on medical leave, and with the stuff that was happening to me in regards to the seizure and my head, they started giving me medicine. The first round of medicine they gave me was for the seizures. Well, those seizures medicine caused me to not be able to sleep. I had serious issues with falling asleep or staying asleep. Back then, I probably sleep 2-3 hours and that was it. And I knew that that couldn't be healthy. So they went back to the doctor. They gave me more medicine to put me to sleep. So now I'm on 2 different cocktails of medicine, one for the seizures and one for sleeping disorder. Long story short, the cocktail of those 2 medicines conjured up a audible voice in my head. And this audible voice was not good. nothing good came from this audible voice. And it took me to a place where I kind of shut down because I couldn't tell what was real and what was not. And I shut down. And as I'm sitting there as the observer, like I told you guys in the last video, the seizure just stripped you of all your identity. The company decided that I guess I was no longer valuable to them because I wasn't working. I was on medical leave. My unemployment ran out. My disability ran out. And they asked me to bring back their keys and their computer, which I willingly did. And at that point, I really didn't know what to do. My wife and I were renting month to month a house of a friend that we knew, and that person decided they wanted to move back into their home. So we had nowhere to live, nowhere to go, nowhere to turn. My 401k, I withdrawed, and we lived off that for a bit until that went down to zero. Savings went down to zero, and we were about to be homeless. I'm grateful that Mary's grandmother allowed us to come stay with her, but that transition was tough for me because I'm going to a place I don't know anybody, anyone, and I'm not even in the right state of mind. So that transition was really tough for me. And honestly, the first month I got to Miami, I didn't speak to nobody, not my wife, not my kids. I was so heartbroken because I had to leave Pammy in Georgia, not knowing when the next time I'll ever see her. And we had Nija and Shayla staying with family friends because all of this occurred in the middle of a school year. And we didn't want to pull them out in the middle of the year because Nija was actually graduating that year and Shayla had one more. Sean was in college and she lived on campus, so she was actually least affected by the whole thing. Desiree was in her own apartment. She lived on her own, so she was good. And little Jenny, she had to experience it all. It was just Jenny, myself, and my wife. And Jenny had to endure all the nightmares. I would wake up screaming in the middle of the night, waking everybody up. Because at this time I didn't even drive because my state of mind was not even there. I didn't have a cell phone. I was just completely an inward person. I didn't deal with nobody on the outside because I felt like the world had let me down and that I couldn't trust nobody. So I put up a wall and nobody was allowed into that wall, nobody. It was so bad, it got to the point I wouldn't talk, and my wife, God bless her so much, she would just sit there and read to me just to get some kind of communication between us. And for like maybe the first 3 weeks, every day she'd go to work, come home, and just read random articles or book just to keep me engaged with the world. And I thank you for that. You don't know how much that helped, baby. I love you. And after maybe the first 3 weeks, my cousin Denise and my auntie Lois, rest in peace auntie, she made her transition, came to visit me. And they were calling, but I don't answer my phone for nobody really. And they were calling and calling, they were blowing me up. And something that they told me just to answer the phone, and my auntie and cousin invited me out to dinner. And this is the first time I've ever been out the house, much less in a social environment on South Beach. So it was new for me, but I'll never forget my auntie when she seen me. I haven't seen her maybe 5-10 years. And at that time, I wasn't even aware because, like I told you, I locked myself off from the world. I wasn't even aware that she was ill. But I remember vividly, she got up, we were at the dinner table, she got up and she came over to me and I stood up and she hugged me and she put both her hands on my jaws like this. And she said, keep moving, keep going, you're doing well. And at the time, I don't know if she knew what I was going through, but those words moved me and I appreciate it. I needed those. And once they left, I started building up the willpower to do more. Then Pammy came down to visit me in Miami. And she spent a couple of days, maybe 4 days. And then I started building more strength. At this time, the only thing I would do is go out and walk. I would walk the neighborhoods, Carroll City, Miami Gardens. Y'all know me. I was everywhere. Every block. I've touched every block with my 2 feet. I walked, the minimum back then was 5 miles a day. And I would walk and walk. And while I'm walking, I'm creating what I want my life to be like. I'm creating what I want to see in this world. And I use Pamela and my brother Kareem because a long time ago, he used to always tell me, Trevor, them companies are going to kill you. They're going to work you to death. And I'd be like, no, man, this is how it has to be, because I was in the illusion that corporate America was the way out. And he would always tell me that you're going to work yourself to death. All the hours I would put in, I would miss everything because work. And his entrepreneurial spirit was always there. And I remember him telling me, just keep moving. So now I got my aunties telling me to keep moving. I got Kareem telling me to keep moving. I got my beautiful daughter in front of me that now I know I got to do something. This giving up on the world is not the business, and I'm not doing that. I'm not built like that. So I retreated back to the house, and then I decided I'm going to move back to Georgia. But at this time, I have no job, no car, no phone, no nothing to provide anything. At this time, my wife is the breadwinner. She's the one that provides everything for me. Matter of fact, at this point right now, she is the breadwinner. She still provides for me over 6 years from that point. Anyhow, once Pammy left, my grandmother, Miss Dorothy, transitioned as well. I love you, Grandma. You know you're always with me. And that night, I flew back to Belize, went to the funeral and everything. It was wonderful. Got to spend time with my father and my auntie, Georgia. Thank you, guys. I moved away from Belize so young, so I didn't know it, but that trip you took Stacy and I on was needed, because now I understand where I'm from, and I love it. Anyhow, that night when I came back from Belize and I was sitting on the back porch, because at this time I just sit outside. I spend most of my time outside. In a 24-hour period, I probably spend like 4 of it indoors. Other than that, I get up and go sit outside or go walk. Anyhow, that night I was sitting out there by myself. It was probably about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I felt a breeze. It wasn't breezy that night. I felt a breeze come through. And when that breeze hit me, I just felt all warm inside. It was a funny feeling. And then I have this vision of my grandmother, who just transitioned, standing there. And she said, Trevor, just keep moving on. Just keep moving. Whatever comes to you, just keep moving. Just keep moving. And from that, I decided I'm going to redesign my life the way I want it. I'm no longer going to entertain anything that doesn't make me happy. And I know there'll be people around me that will be upset of my choices. I decided to follow this inner intuition that's been guiding me. And a lot of the times that intuition will have me do or not do things, and it upset people around me. And I don't mean to hurt anybody, but at this point in my life, I've worn so many masks for so many people. I decided I'm not wearing a mask for nobody. So a lot of things I do, people think I'm cold, but it's not cold. I understand your spirit, and you're looking at this world from the human perspective, running programs that you don't even understand you're running. And I refuse to run those programs. I am not naive to the point that I may be running a program, but at least I'm being authentic to myself. I'm not making a decision that somebody else is giving me the input on. I listen to both sides, hear what both sides have to say, and then I make my decision on what's gonna happen next. And yeah, I've hurt people close to me, but everybody that I've hurt, I'm telling you honestly, I love you guys, and it was never to hurt you guys. It's only because I know what I'm doing. Y'all might think I'm crazy, but this is for all of y'all. I'm living my authentic life by that spark that's within me that I know all of y'all have. And with me doing this, it'll awaken y'all to y'all truth too. And I've been leaving little clues in each videos for those with the eyes to see and ears to hear to activate yourself. This is all light code. The words are not mine, They're divinely given to me, where I'm sharing with y'all. Until the next one, family, I love you guys and stay blessed. One love.